Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another phenomenal round here of Wednesday Night Dash. My name is Eli. I'm so excited to be with you guys here for the 2023 Season 6 Round 5 at Virginia International Raceway. It's the Virginia International Raceway GT3 Sprint presented by Stadium Scene TV at the fantastic, wonderful, dare I say, tumultuous racetrack in Alton, Virginia. We're here at VIR. VIR, known as one of the more, difficult and potentially detrimental to people's bodywork type of tracks. It's got some crazy action here. As you can see down on that track map, 17 corners of absolute intensity. These drivers are going to be pushed to their limits across the 2.23-mile circuit with numerous elevation changes and a lot of very iconic corners. Those iconic corners is obviously turn 1. The horseshoe is a very big one. NASCAR bend at turn 3. You've got the S's between turn 5 all the way to the end of turn 10, where it's S's mixed with straights. It's absolutely wild. Turn 10 to South Bend. And then you're going to go to turn 11, turn 12, double compound corner, the new right-handers back to back around the old oak tree. And then down the straightaway into the roller coaster, which then takes you to the final corner, turn 17, and compound right-hander. It's absolutely wild here at VIR. I know these drivers are going to be pushed to their limits, and I know they are very excited to be pushed to those limits. Now let's go ahead and take a look at those drivers. We got Mark Vickers sitting on top of the championship right now. Last race was absolutely wild, as you guys probably noticed if you were there. Hunter Hughes and Ian Miller are nearly tied, though, for second.
Yeah,
and they closed the gap a decent amount to Mark Vickers with Hunter Hughes' win, but still not quite enough. Still, Hunter is leading. 4th to 9th, though. Notice they're only separated by 16 points, which is absolutely wild. Very tight gaps. We love seeing that here at Wednesday Night Dash. Now, like I mentioned, we are at round 5 here at VIR, Virginia International Raceway. Next week, we'll be going to Mid-Ohio. The week after that, or 2 weeks after that, Rudskogen with a week break, and then the final round will be at Daytona. What a fun place to go. Now, obviously, we do need to give some love and some notice to this amazing event that we've got coming up. This is going to be on September 16th. It's the AFSP 200 at Michigan International Raceway. We're racing NASCAR Next Gen Cups over 100 laps with 2 fast repairs, and we will be broadcasting here on Stadium Scene TV. Please go ahead and register if you can as soon as possible. It's going to be a blast. You can find all that information online at StadiumSceneTV.com. And speaking of Stadium Scene TV, we're going to give some love to our friends over at House of Hockey. On this week's episode of House of Hockey, Breezy and Ray will discuss the start of the NHL Conference Finals with a 4 OT to kick it off. The Florida Panthers are also roaring out of the gate against the Carolina Hurricanes, with Breezy's boy Matthew Tkachuk doing Tkachuk things. Over in the West, the Vegas Golden Knights are taking no prisoners as they face the Dallas Stars. Plus, they share a hot take from Star Wars fan Whit Wallace. See if they agree. Tune in Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Stadium Scene TV here for all the fun and action. Speaking of fun and action, let's go ahead and give some love to these drivers who are out on track right now. We've got a nice little grid of 7 drivers right here. And we got Hunter Hughes currently leading the pack, sitting on provisional pole right now with 30 seconds left of the qualifying session. It's looking like he'll probably end up holding it too. He had a really nice run right there to secure that. Right behind him, though, is Ian Miller, looking really solid as well. And then Mark Vickers sits in 3rd with Brian McKinney down into 4th. And then we've got, of course, Eric Richardson, Tyler Lugo, Vickery, DJ Fluck, and oh my god, and yeah, actually, sorry, just those 3 that have not set a time. Excuse me. So those 3 not going to be able to set a time. Actually, qualifying ends in literally 1 second, and that is the qualifying session over right there. All the drivers have passed the start-finish line, so if they didn't get the checker flag, which I'm sure most of them did, if not all of them did, maybe they did not, then we will be over with qualifying. Let's go ahead and take a look at the guy who's out on track right now, looking super solid. It's probably going to be Brian McKinney. I believe he's out there right now. Yep, there he is.
Yep,
at the end of a lap right here, going into the roller coaster. What an absolutely wild part of a track this part of the track is. The roller coaster is known as the roller coaster for a reason. We're going to talk about it a little bit more as we get through the laps, get through tonight's races. But this part of the track is absolutely wild. It's extremely difficult to navigate. But if you do it right, you are treated with lots of time to cushion your lap time. So Speaking of which, Brian McKinney sets a 2-minute 2.9, and he just improves it to 156, but it's not quite enough to get up to that provisional pole spot. Right now, pole separated and will be called with Hunter Hughes on pole, with Ian Miller behind him by 2/100ths of a second, 2.6 of a second. That is unreal how close the gap is for the top guys. And then Mark Vickers, who is consistently one of the fastest ones here, is sitting 1.5 seconds off the pace. That's wild. So this is already looking really good for the top two guys, Hunter Hughes and Ian Miller, who had a nice little tussle last race with Mark Vickers, finding a way to just kind of come back and get a decent result out of it. We'll see if that's going to end up working out, for them in the long run. Speaking of Hunter Hughes, we're here on Hunter Hughes cam. He's coming across the final line. Let's see if he can improve. He doesn't necessarily need to improve. He right now has a 48.057. He does not improve. He's at a 52.5. Just wanted to go across the line and be done with it. So we're about to get out there into qualifying, or into the race session. There you go, guys. That track map was in a bad spot. Now it looks much, 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 much better. I personally expect to see quite a few self-inflicted errors here. This is one of those tracks, especially that turn 10 you see down there in the bottom right corner next to the car number 5, who's still out on track right now. That turn 10 is absolutely vicious. It will bite you if you are not careful. We're going to definitely take some onboard looks in the first couple laps as the drivers get through that corner. It is one of the most difficult corners in all of American motorsport. It's consistently known as such as well for many good reasons. It will take no prisoners, that's for sure. So this will be very interesting to see how these drivers are going to navigate around such a difficult track. We've got quite a few laps for them to give it their best. 25 laps, give or take, for them to give it their best and try to get some championship points for them. For some of them, it's much needed. For others, they just need it to cushion their lead or their current positions right now. But like I mentioned, the bottom 4 through 9 are all so tight, so every point counts right here in the back half of the season, and I'm sure all the drivers know about that. They're definitely going to be looking forward to having the best possible race for themselves. Now, we're going to be taking a look at, obviously, Hunter Hughes as soon as he gets his car out on track, and Ian Miller. Ian Miller sits in second right now, looking pretty darn solid from that start. You can see the drivers that are all populating in right now. This camera angle is not the best for us. There we go. That's a much better one for us. Like I mentioned, I expect to see some self-inflicted injuries, on this track, but I also expect to see a little bit of tasty action between Ian Miller and Hunter Hughes, assuming they can keep each other out of each other effectively. They don't end up, doing some door bashing. I expect to see them really give us a serious show tonight. They did a really great job at doing that last week when we were at Laguna Seca. I don't think this week will be any different. The Vodafone Mercedes next to that blue Porsche. They were the talk of the town last time around, and I'm sure it will be the same today. Now remember, it's Ian Miller sits in second with Hunter Hughes technically on pole right now. Mark Vickers in third. Tyler Lugo Vickery in fourth, rocking the McLaren. The first driver of the season to pull out the McLaren. Tyler Lugo Vickery fifth to Brian McKinney, sixth to DJ Fluck, and seventh to Eric Richardson. Eric Richardson, the number 13 Porsche in the back with a fun blue, yellow, red primaries.
I can't even do that right now.
Primary colors. He's got one of my favorite liveries for sure. I love that one. It sticks out so great. Let's give some love to the guys up at the front, though. Obviously, the Porsche and the Mercedes are going to be our main focus for the first few laps here. Let's see exactly how they handle the first couple laps together. They were so close to each other in qualifying. By far the closest gap in qualifying. Like I mentioned, only 200ths of a second separated the two of these two. And it's going to be a battle for sure. Expect to see absolute sparks fly here at VIR. We're about to go racing. The green flag is almost out. It's a slow start for those guys at the front. They're trying to play some little bits of mind games. The Porsche is now off. There he goes, hits the gas pedal. And the Mercedes gets on the go pedal as well. They are go, go, go. Green lights out. And we are racing here today at VIR. It's a solid start for the Porsche, but the Mercedes looking for a dive at the inside, almost immediately decides to back out of it. Did not quite have the room for it, but he's stuck up into second right there. The Whataburger Ferrari almost got himself into second, but could not quite stick it. The McLaren in fourth holds it firm, but it's falling back almost immediately from these top three guys. So there's going to be a Vickers, Miller, Hughes battle tonight as it was last week. It's definitely possible. But as of right now, the one who leads it is Hunter Hughes after a few corners in. Now, I mentioned we're going to go ahead and take a look at some onboards for some of these guys. I want to take a look at the onboard of our friend and championship leader, Mr. Mark Vickers, who just got passed up with the McLaren, actually. Wow. Absolutely sensational move from the McLaren coming out of the S's early on. Let's take a look at him from the cockpit view as he goes to the S's right here. He's charging up the fast section. You can see those front two guys are already way past. Here's the infamous turn 10. Hard brake, blind corner right here. Have to just nail it. You can see there's some smoke off the side. It's the Porsche. Oh, no. The Porsche is already off. And Ian Miller flies away. Hunter Hughes, having making just an unfortunate error mistake, is now just in the worst position. Oh, he's already in the pits. He's had to tow it. What happened here to Hunter Hughes? Was it just a simple error? We've got to know. Let's take a look at this from TV camera. Actually, more so from the gyro camera. We can see exactly what happens. Coming around. Gets over that turn 10 right here. Like I mentioned, it'll get you, and it gets him. Oh, turn 10. I even said it at the very beginning, and it's a big hit into the wall, too, for Hunter Hughes, and that is going to be absolutely heartbreaking. After throwing it on pole so dominantly, he's now having to go and put himself in the pits. The Whataburger car, Mark Vickers, inherits third after sitting in fourth because Hunter Hughes is now in the pits. Ian Miller, though, leads the race right here with a 1.5 second gap. Hunter Hughes way back in the pits towing right now. He'll be a lap and a half behind potentially after all the repairs. But now it's a nice little tasty battle between Vickery and Mark Vickers. Mark Vickers gets the most out of Tyler Vickery. Out of turn 1, but that's a spin for Mark Vickers. Oh no, did he just lock it up? What happened here? It looks like Mark Vickers, he's coming across the corner, looks fine, and then just turns in a little bit too heavy, and that spin is just going to happen no matter what. Unfortunate for him. Tyler Vickery cruises on through, doesn't get caught up by anything, and he sits in second now. A pretty far cry away from the lead, though. It's 5 seconds out from the lead, and then behind that, it's big gaps. Brian McKinney sits in third right now, 11 seconds away from Mark Vickers. Or sorry, from Tyler Vickery. Wow, already a very eventful first couple laps. What is going on so far? Unfortunate for Mark Vickers, you know, having that little spin right there is definitely going to put him at a bit of a disadvantage, but he's just got to clear a couple cars and he'll be back up in the fight right here. Mark Vickers currently sitting, looks like actually at the back besides potentially Eric Richardson might be a little bit behind him. Not 100% sure yet. Mark Vickers looking for a way to get past the Porsche through the roller coaster. It's a really difficult spot to pass. He's going to go wide, 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 wide. Really wide all the way around it. Wow, nice little pass right there from Mark Vickers. But he might get the grass right there. He's going to touch the grass. I had a feeling he was coming in a little bit too hot to the final corner. He's going to be way off to the side. What's nice about this track is there's a lot of runoff on the outside of those final few corners. So it's definitely a forgiving part of the track.
Yeah, man, I'm just stuck in the Days D right now.
It's unfortunate, so it happens. Up just front, Brian McKinney, actually. Oh, no, coming out of roller coaster. Also, a little bit sideways, totally on accident. Did not think I was going to turn onto his camera if it to not be facing the right direction. But unfortunately, I did, and it looks like he's going to have to go to the pits. You can see that left front suspension is absolutely knackered. Yeah, it's totally turned in big time versus right front suspension. Looks totally fine, so he must have taken a bit of a hit. Yeah, you can see all that damage on the left side. Must have taken a hit to the left side. Up at the front, more so in second, it's Tyler Vickery. Sitting comfortably in second, about 6 seconds away from the lead. The leader, Ian Miller, is comfortably leading this race. Catching up to the pole sitter who now sits in the back, Hunter Hughes, potentially going to get lapped. That is wild. So far, the gaps are starting to spread out a little bit. A little farther back, we got a nice little tussle between, it looks like, Mark Vickers and Eric Richardson. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on back here. Mark Vickers, a little bit behind Eric Richardson. You can see Eric Richardson just in front of him. the primary color Porsche. Primary Porsche. I like that. The primary Porsche. Cruising on into the roller coaster section. Let's go ahead and take a look at it from his point of view. It's a blind right-hander. Now, this is where it gets really tricky. You got to be careful on the brakes right here. You're going to go pretty hard on the gas. Light lift. You want to make sure you don't overcut the inside like he did right there and touch the grass. Ooh, nice recovery. Eric Richardson could have gotten much worse, though. He gets back on track and it's fine. That could have been disaster right there for Eric Richardson. So good recovery for him to avoid it from getting any worse. That's a scary, scary spot on the track to have a mistake, that's for sure. Back in front for McLaren. Cruising to the S's. Having a little Sunday stroll right here. You know, if you can keep it put together, not having any self-inflicted errors, like I mentioned, are very common at this track, which we've already seen quite a few of. You know, he's on for a pretty solid shot for a podium here. I'd be pretty surprised if he does not end up pulling one out. So it's definitely there for him. Looks like DJ Fluck unfortunately stuck in the pits right here. The 88 car, either fueling up, repairing up, something like that. That's really unfortunate. Oh, he's calling it a day, and he's here with me. How's it going, DJ? Oh, man, that's unfortunate. Well, I appreciate you being so kind to everybody and thinking about everybody else's race. It's very, very nice of you. As you were talking, unfortunately, Eric Richardson also had a little bit of a spin, self-inflicted. You know, I said something at the beginning of the broadcast, and I mentioned that turn 10 was going to be the spot where everything went wrong for everybody. And it didn't take but 1.8 miles, which is how long it takes for you to get to turn 10. On your first lap for the first one to go off, and it was the person in the lead. What do you think is going through Hunter's head right now?
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that turn 10 is the hardest part, or it's like the only spot that stuff can really go wrong. And it's definitely not the only spot, but it's the main spot. But then it's the roller coaster section that is really, really difficult. The nice part about the roller coaster is there's a ton of runoff. So if you do make a mistake, it's kind of no harm, no foul. But right now where Brian McKinney is, he's coming around Oak Tree. That section is unforgiving. Turns 11 and 12. Not a lot of runoff, especially on the exit 12. He'll end up going face first into a concrete wall, potentially. So, yeah, this track's dangerous, isn't it? Yep, it's one of those very deceiving tracks. When I first got on it, I got on it to do a pilot challenge race, and I had never touched it before. Never even played it in any of the old Gran Turismos or any of that kind of stuff. It's one of the only tracks that I've never really played. And boy, did I not regret it at first, because it is extremely difficult. I got through, that was my first ever long race when I did the pilot challenge. I got through all but the last 20 minutes, and then I went off and hit the ball after 2 hours worth of racing. So it'll never stop being difficult as well. And for me, it was turn 3 that got me. Just a little bit late on my braking zone. It was nighttime. My goggles were fogging up, and that was all she wrote. But I think right now Ian Miller's stuck in with a, if I read this right, 30-second lead as Tyler Vickery must have made a mistake. He's way dropped down. His right front looks battered in. Like, it looks really bad, actually. I'm not exactly sure what happened to Tyler Vickery, but he must have had a big off, because he was sitting in second, and now he's nowhere near. Let's see if I can go. Oh, yep, there it is. I think I mentioned that the roller coaster is dangerous. And I said, oh, but it's safe enough because there's tons of runoff. And then Tyler Vickery has to unfortunately go and prove me wrong.
Yep.
He's coming around the middle bits of it. I just found him. Oh, he just totally missed the braking zone. Yep. Flew right off and... Oh no, he stayed at the wall. Just kidding. Just lost a lot of positions. So, DJ, coming up to this track, had you done any practice before in this track? Oh, I think I may have lost DJ. But what we also lost was Tyler Vickery. You can see this from his point of view right here. He's getting chased down by the Porsche. Coming to the S's. Oh, is it turn 10 that gets him? The S's. Looks fine. Oh, yep. Entering into turn 10. Ooh, that's a big one right there for Tyler Vickery. That's going to be into the pits and big repairs. Yep, there he is. Second in the pits. He is potentially out of this race. I don't see him in the car anymore. So we may be down to 5, everybody. Oh, my gosh. Now down to those who are on the lead lap. It's Mark Vickers, Ian Miller, and Eric Richardson. The only 3 on the lead lap, and Eric Richardson not too far from getting overtaken. Well, he's about a half a lap away from getting overtaken, so should be fine for now. But still, holy smoke-a-roly. Wow, this race has spread out quite quickly. And now it's just a matter of Ian Miller. Can he just battle the track to keep it, you know, steady, smooth, cool, calm, and collected, and get these much-needed points? With Mark Vickers sitting in second, you know, Mark has been the most consistent driver so far. So it's definitely been good. You know, this is going to be helpful for his championship points, but Ian Miller, he needs to have more of these, you know, outstanding performances where he's leading and he ends up potentially even winning this race. That's going to really help him out in this championship. Oh, yeah, I can hear you way better, actually. Oh, let me see. Oh, I remember what happened. Hold on one second. Okay, they can probably hear you now.
My mother, that they couldn't hear me talking.
Whoopsies. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, it should be good now. I use these special apps, but now it's all fixed up. So I turned it off so that way in case some errant hooligan decided to jump into the Discord chat, it wouldn't immediately go through. But I forgot to turn it back on. Yeah, I mean, as of right now, this race has very quickly turned into a battle with the track rather than a battle with each other. Which in and of itself is already a difficult enough battle, so...
I mean, it's already become the Ian Miller show for sure.
Big time, yeah. And speaking of the Ian Miller show, he actually just passed through a dangerous turn 10. And it's funny, as he passes through it, you can see all the markings in the grass of where people have gone off in turn 10 already. It's quite a few of them.
Guilty.
Yep, it happens to the best of us. Luckily, it's not too bad when you go off on the outside of that corner, but if you go off in a way that shoots you back across the track, it's going to be a big crash. And oftentimes, if you just let the outside tires touch the grass, it will shoot you to the left, which will then be straight into the wall. So it's dangerous out there. Very dangerous. Ever since the update of this track as well, they removed the big tree that's out there, which actually used to be a pretty decent obstacle with going off there. Did you ever play on this before the update?
I did not, and I only considered this for the schedule because of it being free now. Mm-hmm. And I saw when I was looking at one of the track guides, somebody showing the big oak tree there. I'm like, well, that seems like a really terrible idea.
Yeah, it was an awful idea.
I mean, I'm sure that oak tree probably predated the track by about 100 years. But
yes, yeah, no, it was a very old tree. It's unfortunate they did have to cut it down for a mix of safety reasons and also honestly just botanical health reasons. It was an old and dying tree, and it was just there as a relic of the track. But it was extremely dangerous where it happened to be positioned, because if you go off on turn 10 and you end up careening straight, you hit the grass, there's not a whole lot of steering you can do to avoid it. And you might end up, nosing it straight into the tree, which is just a recipe for disaster. So it's good they got rid of it. But It was a nice little relic of the track. Speaking of the update of this track, they also did a little bit of resurfacing and making it a little bit more accurate. The bumps are a lot less severe, especially around this section where the old tree was. It used to actually be pretty bumpy out there, so now it's not too bad, is it?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, the race was over relatively quickly, unfortunately. Oh, actually looks like there's a Porsche off. It's Eric Richardson. Sits in third, though, but it's now lapped car. Unfortunate, so
if he can stay out there, I mean, he's almost to the point where he's going to de facto podium because of everyone else retiring.
Ain't that some shit?
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, Mark Vickers seems to be having some troubles. Oh, no, Mark Vickers is in the pits. Hold on
Literally
a second.
the exact same thing I did.
Is this, it's turn 10.
Man, I feel like I barely touched that ground.
Oh, no, turn 10. He goes in for the entry. It's fine. On exit. Clips the grass, like I mentioned. Hard to the left. Immediately illustrates exactly what I was talking about. That is an 80-mile-an-hour impact straight into the wall. Wow. Did you happen to,
I did. I'm watching the replay right now. That poor Whataburger machine. That's a good looking car.
Yep, you can see the point of impact. Oh man, you can see exactly where he touches the grass. It's so faint. But that right front suspension will tell the story. You can see right here, he barely touches the grass, and the right rear is especially all over the grass. And under throttle, it's gonna push you off. And, yep, he's in the wall, and he just comes right back out.
Yeah, this is not a very forgiving place, is it?
Nope, not at all. I would argue it's significantly less forgiving than a majority of street tracks. Which is a bit of a hot take that some people say, but I think it genuinely is less forgiving than most street tracks. Because at least those walls, like they scare you enough to the point you kind of slow down. So right now with Mark Vickers having crashed, Hunter Hughes, assuming, you know, he keeps at least a relatively decent pace, he's got actually a pretty relative shot at getting second now, which is kind of crazy. It's just a battle of survival right now. Hunter Hughes is about a minute away from catching back up to it. So you never know. Hunter Hughes might actually might get you know, back in this race right here. This is interesting. After that lap one crash, I did not think that he was going to be able to get back into it, but now he's just about to cross under a minute left until he catches back up to Mark Vickers, who's just coming out of the pits right now. So if Hunter can have pace, then it's anyone's game. What are you thinking, DJ? Do we think we see Hunter pull a miracle and find a way to come back and get, you know, a second place finish potentially? I mean, right now he sits in third. Oh, not sure if DJ can hear me or not. DJ, you're muted.
All right, maybe I should have the right menu selected.
No worries.
Yeah, I mean I mean, at this place anything could happen at any time.
Yep.
I mean, Ian right now, I mean, I don't want to jinx him, but I mean, he's having a great run, and if he holds it together, like, he's going to run away with this thing. And if something happens, I do not take responsibility for it.
Yeah, he just came around turn 12, so looks like he made it out of turn 10 alive as well. And like, that's the biggest. It's already been the biggest killer. Like, that's the spot that I was very much so expecting all the problems to happen. It's the spot where all the problems have happened. Well, at least majority of them. Mark Vickers also gets around it this time safe. I'm wondering if he's taking it a little bit more cautious now. I'm sure he probably is. It's definitely the smart thing to do at this point in the race. I mean, why get another, you know, big crash? Just put you back in the pits, even with the fast repair. That tow truck takes a long time, doesn't it, here?
My first incident tonight happened right before the entrance to the pit, so I just struggled in, took my fast repair, got back on track, make it about a half a lap, and then I'm done.
Oh, that's tough. Was it turn 10 that got you again? I forgot.
No, I barely made it through the first, the first couple of bends. I don't think I even got to the S's.
I mean, honestly, those turns 2 through 5, 6 are pretty, surprisingly difficult. I think it's a spot that a lot of people underestimate on this track. That's where I've had my biggest crash, was at turn 3, when I just totally missed the braking zone and nosed it into the wall pretty hard. So it's definitely doable. The braking zone is pretty faint to see exactly where it is. You got to really know exactly which part of the curb you're looking for. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a reasonable spot to have mistakes happen. Overall, it's just such a tough track, Now, with Ian Miller, putting down this pretty dominant race, if the order is to finish as it is right now, I'm curious what that would do for our championship right here. You want to do a little bit of maths with me? You're probably faster at the championship math. This is something that I've always been very bad at, is championship points math.
Yeah, I'm looking that out right now. Let me see. It might take a little time. I really need to figure a faster way to calculate these, the scoring here.
No worries. Yeah, I always have to look at the list, and then I have to do like some really tough mental math for myself. I squint a little bit hard, see if it helps me, but it never really helps me calculate it faster. That's my system. Speaking of systems right now, Mark Vickers is sitting 11 seconds ahead of Hunter Hughes, and is doing 4 seconds a lap slower so far. So I think Hunter Hughes will catch up in about 5 laps, because I think Mark Vickers will pick up pace a little bit. But if Hunter Hughes does catch up, that's gonna change everything as well. Yeah, Hunter Hughes, he just came around the finish line as well. He just did a 9-second faster lap than Mark Vickers did last lap, so he caught up quite a bit of time. It's definitely anybody's game, anybody's race. Let's take a look at the Porsche as he blasts through the S's. Get some onboard footage from him. Get in that cockpit view. Imagine what it would be like to be this driver at this moment. Coming up through the S's, the uphill, tons of blind corners over and over and over again. You got to go full commitment. This one's turn 9 on the left-hand to right here. Going to be turn 10. Drops into 4th. Smart to cut the inside curb. Stays away from the outside curb. It's where all the danger happens. You find a braking point right there, right in between the 2 and 3 meter board. 200 300 meter board, excuse me. Tight double apex. Use all the exit on the left side. Very smart line right there from Hughes. He's back up on the power for the back straight. This is where all the money is made. For all the drivers get to the highest speed they can possibly reach on this track. Hunter Hughes will be getting all the way up to potentially 160 miles an hour down this back straight. Flying into a hard braking zone for a blind left to a right-hander known as a roller coaster. Got a really full commit right there. Used a little bit less the exit than I think he probably could have used. It still ended up being a very smooth exit. Back up the power, pretty smooth. And here's a spot where you have to commit a lot more than you think you can. He does a great job at it. Funnels out the roller coaster and goes into the start-finish straight, looking pretty solid. What kind of lap is he going to be putting down right here? Hunter Hughes puts down a 148.382, his best of the session, second best of the entire lobby right now. The fastest driver on track is Ian Miller. Put down a 47.6 a few laps ago. Ian Miller also put down a 48.9 last lap, so it's not like he's got any sign of slowing down. It's only 0.6 slower than Hunter Hughes, who's probably on push mode right now, so that's impressive. And Mark Vickers still holding down the lead right here. It's 12 seconds now. It looks like his pace has picked up quite significantly. Last lap was a 49.5. But not all is lost for the blue Porsche as Mark Vickers goes around turn 10 very cautiously, very tepidly, says, hey, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. And just coasts his way through it. Very smart. Smart play right there. I gotta give some love to the DeWalt Tools truck. I call it a truck, but it's really a Ferrari. It's the car. Brian McKinney sits in 4th right now. After inheriting, a little bit of good luck from other people's bad luck. Sitting quite pretty right now. Tyler Vickery has actually officially retired. I can see now he has not come back in any minute now. So that's another one down. We're down to just a total of 5-4 short to the end of this race. And these 5, it's just a matter of battling the track, like I mentioned. Just can you keep it out of the wall for the rest of this race? Ian Miller has gone to the pits to go get his regular pit stop done. He'll be out any minute now. Yep, hits the burn. It's back out on track. We'll have another car pass by. And hey, it's actually the old leader, Hunter Hughes. He's unlapped himself coming out of the pits. Now Ian Miller's going to say, hey, give me that back. I want that. Official on-track lead right now. Hunter Hughes, who I'm sure is quite happy to not be lapped anymore. Mark Vickers many seconds ahead of that.
Even after pitting, I currently see Mark is 1.5 minutes behind Ian. That is wild.
Yep, that's correct. Yep, it's wild. The gap that Ian has built up is absolutely bonkers. He's been so consistent too. It's not like he's been like, throwing down 146s the whole time, right? Like he's just throwing down consistent 48s and 49s, never letting it go any higher than that. That's all you need. You don't need to be a hero at this track. You just need to stay off the grass than anything else. Now, DJ, livery competition. Out of those drivers that you see out on track right now, which livery is your favorite?
Oh, I got to go with Mark in the Whataburger.
That's a good call. Very good call.
Unveiled that this week, Bryn. First time out with it.
I feel like he used it last week. Oh, speaking of which, he almost got in the grass and almost made another little mistake right there, but no, he's fine. I swear he was using the Whataburger car last week. Yeah, he was in it at Laguna. But I agree, it is also my favorite. Absolutely my favorite.
I don't know. My head's not fully with it yet.
No worries at all.
It's just been it's been a week, and more like a week and a half at this point.
Yeah. Well, this is the best way to calm down and cool it off and just relax. It's some good racing. Watching these guys all go out there and give their best to get some championship points. And obviously, Ian Miller's best has so far been all that's been needed. He's looked ridiculously consistent. I can't see any way besides a big error from him for people to come back. There's no way. I mean, second lap out on relatively cold tires still. He's at a 51.9. That's rapid. Your second lap out. It's very rapid. Hunter Hughes technically ahead of him on track, but behind him on standings because Hunter Hughes is a lap down. He's putting down 48s right now pretty consistently as well. So he's on push mode. I think he's pretty convinced that he can catch up to Mark Vickers, which I think he can. It's only 8 seconds separates the two of them now. You can actually see, from Hunter Hughes' point of view, he can barely see Mark Vickers off in the distance, depending on where he's out on track. Can't see quite here. It looks like Mark Vickers may have gone over the hill. Almost certain he did. I do love seeing the way that these cars navigate the roller coaster. They find a way to just somehow get so much extra speed out of corners that look so awkward. They don't make it look awkward at all. Hunter Hughes coming across the line. Let's see exactly what kind of time he's putting down right here.
$148.613. That's pretty consistent.
That is pretty dang good. That will do. And the car behind him, Ian Miller, done a 148.106, which is also a great lap. A very great lap. So 4/10 gained up on that, and Hunter Hughes gaining just about a second on Mark Vickers. Which I mentioned now, they're within, relative shouting distance. It's not the biggest gap in the world between the two of them. So it's definitely anything but over between the two. Mark Vickers coming around that corner. That's done him dirty before. Turn 10. How does he handle? Very timidly. All these drivers being extra cautious right now around turn 10 very smart. Except for Ian Miller. He's just sending it. He's in the flow state right now. I wonder if that flow state's going to bite him in the butt or if it's going to be it's going to stay true to him for the rest of the race. He's only got about 15 minutes left of racing to hold tight. Make sure nothing happens. So I'm sure he can make it work. I'd be surprised if he doesn't end up taking home the win tonight. He's looking pretty poised to do as such. Now, DJ, one thing that'd be kind of fun would be on that off week that we have. I'd love to jump in for a little fun race with the crew and see if they're down to do some racing. Get me off the booth and in the seat.
We're trying to strategically plan not having a league race on week 13 of the iRacing schedule. And for those not familiar,
smart.
Week 13 is the iRacing breaks it out into 4 seasons, and they're typically 12 weeks. But then week 13 is when they put out the big quarterly patching. They introduce new cars, new features, etc. And things sometimes don't go great. We've had nothing completely derail us before, but there have been some long delays with patching that people didn't get their patching done in time. A lot of times they do it on Wednesday too. So
that is true.
We've been strategic now to try to not schedule a race on week 13, but a fun race. If it gets canceled, well, you know what, it gets canceled.
That's true. Well, hey, maybe that'll be the opportunity. You never know, right?
You see the looks like we might be getting a Cadillac added to the arsenal here soon.
Decent chance of it is what it looks like, and that would be a lot of fun. Add a lot of intrigue to these GT3 multi-class kinds of races that we see in the IMSA racing and PDS
Hurry up
as
and
well.
catch me, Hunter. I'm sick of trying so hard.
I don't know if you heard that on the
I certainly
radio.
did.
That's funny.
I'm trying, but I got an Ian Miller stalking my tail right now.
We're actually watching that little stock down right now. Ian is closing up on him very quickly. A little more than a second last lap, and now it's really closed up. It's
do we have some trash talk over the radio there? I don't know what that was exactly.
It's just a smidge of it. I think Mark is saying like, "Hey Hunter, I want to have some fun. I want to battle," and Hunter's saying, "Nah, I'd love to, but Ian's a little scary right now." Because Ian is scary. He's less than a half a second away from Hunter, and Hunter's going to do everything he can to either defend him, even though he is the lapped car, or just let him through in a way that doesn't slow him down too much.
On my screen, I've got the camera following Mark, and as he's starting to pull out of range, I can see the two of Hunter and Ian in the background, closing in.
And there he goes. Lets him through. Smart. Now it's just 4 seconds separates the two of them to Mark Vickers, so...
Yeah, you might get him in a couple of laps here. Whoa, Mark, a little squirrely around that.
Well, he's got to get a move on because the race is starting to dwindle down to its last few minutes. We're almost down to 10 minutes left. 11 minutes effectively right now. And with it coming down to just the back end of the race, the business end, as many would say, again, it's still just a battle of survival of your car. Just trying to make sure that no incidents happen at the very end of it. That would be the absolute most heartbreaking thing to happen because this track is just so difficult to navigate. It's already going to feel like an accomplishment to get this far, but it'll only feel good if you do end up finishing it.
Now, Eli, have you had a chance to hype our charity event that we've got coming up in September yet?
Yes, I have. But if you'd like to tell people about it, that'd be awesome.
Yes, I wasn't expecting to be here tonight, but we announced about a week or so ago that we'll be running on Saturday, September 16th. We're going to target about a 2:15 Eastern Time start for the AFSP 200. We're going to be jumping back into the NASCAR Next Gen cars at Michigan, and we're going to do a 50% race, which is 100 laps at that track. And the entry fee is a $20 minimum donation to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and 100% of your entry fee goes right to the charity fundraiser. So we're not keeping any of this. We're obviously we're losing money here, and we're doing it for we feel is a really good reason that has impacted, unfortunately, too many of us. So We're going to try to raise $1,000 through donations during the live broadcast and through registration fees. So if you don't race, we'd love you to come check us out on the 16th. Oh, Eric Richardson backwards there.
Oopsies.
And yeah, come make a donation, race with us if you are on the iRacing platform, and if not, come and watch us and make a donation. We'll have more information as the summer comes along. We'll have prizes that are donated for some of the top finishers, pole award, fastest lap. So there's something in it for you to come in and race. But again, and have a good time on Saturday afternoon before the cup race starts, and hope you come out.
Yeah, it's going to be a blasted event. I'm excited for it. Oh, I just saw Ian Miller go and touch the grass right there on the exit of turn 10. He's putting the push mode on, which I'm not exactly sure why he's going so hard, but like I said, he's in flow state right now. How he kept it out of the wall right there, I'm not sure. I'm sure Hunter saw that. He's probably going to be really upset that didn't take him into the wall, but Hunter did the same thing earlier, and it put him into the wall. Oh, boy. Well, we're down to just 8.5 minutes left, and Hunter Hughes has a little bit of work to do to catch back up to Mark Vickers. It's about 5 seconds. Mark Vickers putting down some pretty solid laps right now. Hunter Hughes actually a little bit slower than them last lap, so what are we thinking, DJ? Do we think Hunter Hughes finds a way to catch back up and get past Mark Vickers in the last couple laps, or do you think Mark is safe?
Nobody's safe here. Mark is after his early struggles, he's been pretty consistent since then. So we'll see. I mean, obviously that's why they run the races.
That's fair. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, this last lap it was a 2/10 separating Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes when it comes to the pace. So yeah, I mean, I think if Hunter wants to catch him, he's got to get a move on, or hope that Mark makes a mistake that slows him down enough. I think at this end of the race, I don't see Mark making that many silly overextensions. Could cause a big off. Now he is going to get caught behind some traffic right here. It's the DeWalt Ferrari right in front of him. Brian McKinney going into turn 10. Ooh, lets him out. Oh no, it's a little bit of a collision. Oh wow, that Ferrari is just sent to the shadow realm. Oh my gosh, Brian McKinney. Looks like he got a little bit squirrely coming over the hill into turn 9, and they touched. Oh boy. Let's take a look at this from chase camera point of view. Brian McKinney goes off to the right side. Oh, it's just a little bit of net cut slash a little bit of an overextension from the Whataburger Ferrari.
Yeah, not to take another sports analogy, but it looked like a bit of a hip check there.
A bit of one, and yep, and the Ferrari of Brian McKinney is way off into the center of the grass. Unfortunately. But he was already quite a bit lapped, and I know he was just trying to get out of the way.
We got Eric Richardson in the grass again. It looks like he took a toe to the pit. I think he might be about to call it.
Yep, I think you're probably right. Very unfortunate. Now, one who's obviously not calling it, it's Ian Miller sitting so steadily in the lead. Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes still in this thing, though. You can see Hunter Hughes now significantly closer to Mark Vickers after Mark got tangled up. Mark last lap with that little tangle up did a 50.367. Hunter at 48.6, so 1.5 seconds closer is Hunter Hughes. He just needs to see that gap just keep dwindling down. He's really only got about 2 more laps to get it done, so he needs to catch 3 seconds in 2 laps. That's a big ask, very big ask, but it's doable. Looks like
turn 10 got Eric as well.
Oh, it's the turn. I knew it. I knew it was going to be the one. It's so scary. It's as we've mentioned many times before, it's so incredibly unforgiving. And it's also, relatively innocuous looking if you look at it from a 10,000-foot view. It looks like, it's just another left turn. Nothing wild, but just the way that it's oriented. Something about it really gets everybody, huh? We got the Porsche putting the hard charge on. I think you can get a little bit of a draft from Ian Miller as well. That's definitely going to help him quite a bit, but the three of them are now basically equidistant from each other on the back stretch. With the Mercedes in the middle, technically in the lead. With him being monkey in the middle, I'm wondering, is Mark Vickers going to let him over, let him through, at the potential risk of losing some pace? That's the real question right here. It looks like Mark Vickers actually may have even gained a little bit of time over Hunter Hughes.
He lets him through, and he's going to close out with a Hunter battle coming up. So that's a tough spot for him.
It's a tough call, right? Because you also do want to let him through because you know, like, oh, this guy behind me is relatively faster, you know, reasonably so. But looking at the lap times right there, it's not by a whole ton, but Hunter Hughes does put down his best lap of the session so far at 47.9, which is 1.7 seconds faster than Mark Vickers. So that gap is still dropping. Still dropping. Ever so slightly. Ian Miller as well. Really just stuck in the middle of the two of them. He's catching up to Mark Vickers pretty rapidly.
Have you done an onboard yet of going through turn 10 up to the oak tree?
Absolutely, I have.
Yeah, that's it's so good to see that cockpit view of what that looks like from a driver's perspective. It just feels like it comes out of nowhere as you're blind. You're kind of going up a little bit of a hill, and then all of a sudden you got this hard left here.
Speaking of blind, I don't know if you've ever sat inside the Mercedes, but I'm on Ian Miller's cockpit camera right now so people can see this. That is truly blind. You do sit pretty low in that car, and the A-frames and everything about it just happen to take up so much real estate. It's really hard to see the track of this thing. So for him to be able to handle such a difficult track in such a low visibility car is quite impressive to me. The Ferrari is much more well suited to actually looking at the windshield. The Porsche as well. With that Mercedes, it's thin. May as well be blades. Now speaking of that Mercedes, he's catching up quite significantly, just about 0.3 off of Mark Vickers right now. So Mark Vickers has to make a game time decision right here. Do I let him through, or do I try to hold? Right now it's 1.4 seconds separates Hunter Hughes and Mark Vickers. White flag is still not out, so 2 laps to go is what it's looking like. And the Mercedes is going to get let through. So that is Mark Vickers saying, all right, I can hold him. Let's have some fun. And he's now going to be in a pretty tight fight with Hunter Hughes going into the final 2 laps. Oh, now we got a little racer hand, don't we?
Feel like a Formula One event. The winner's more or less been decided. We're battling for something else. Let's watch that.
Exactly. It's half the fun. You know, you can see, I've noticed the tendencies between the two drivers and where they both seem to be strong or a little bit less strong. And I think that Hunter Hughes is significantly more strong in the tight corners where you have to be like really, float in and quick movements and all that kind of stuff. Seems to be where he's excelling. But then the exits of some of these more difficult corners, and obviously it's just straight line speed in general, that Ferrari is, really dominating there. So that's its domain right here coming out of turn 12. I'm sure the Ferrari's going to get a good exit, probably better than the Porsche. Yep, pretty evident. That's a little bit better than the Porsche, not by a whole lot, but a little bit better. And that's where Hunter Hughes needs to find some sort of secret sauce, or just find a way to get in front of him before these straights come, because the gap grows pretty significantly.
He's got about 0.6 of a second on him right now.
Yep, it's not a huge gap, but it's enough to the point to not be in any sort of eligibility to make any sort of dive. If you have 0.6 on somebody in a corner, that's insane. So I don't think a dive is quite on the cards yet either. I give it another half a lap or so, but white flag should be coming out any minute now. Surprised I don't see our flag bearer flowing.
There it is. White flag is out.
Okay. So with that white flag coming out, now it's a real shootout to the very end. And I know Hunter and Mark are excited about that. Now, they won't have an extra lap. Technically, if they were in front of Ian Miller, they would have an extra lap. But they will not be. So this means this is their final chance right here. Unless for whatever reason... No, actually, since the white flag got waved while they came across, even if they were to somehow get back in front of the leader this lap, it would still be their last lap. Yes. So now
I am on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, this is it. And actually, it looks like the Ferrari pulled out a pretty good gap coming out of turns 5 and 6. Had a really good exit there. Now, how is he going to handle 10? Of course, that's the question. Is the Porsche going to go full push mode? He actually is. Wow. Hunter Hughes really brave through turn 10. I just went on his cockpit camera just to see exactly how much road he used, and he used every single inch of it. Not the best entry for the Ferrari, but a really good exit. The exit for Hunter Hughes was not quite there, so the Ferrari ducks off to the side, tries to avoid the draft. Very smart of him. He's going to try to just hold this lead. His elbows are out as wide as they can go, and it looks like it's a big enough gap to hold. It's 0.8 of a second between the two podium challengers right now. It's really just a battle for which podium position they're going to get. They're both guaranteed a podium at this point, assuming they finish. Actually, not even assuming they finish. They are guaranteed a podium right now. But it's Hunter Hughes making a mistake over a roller coaster.
Hunter.
Oh, no. Into the entry of roller coaster. He makes a huge mistake. That's detrimental. But Ian Miller is not going to really care too much because he's going to come across the line as the race winner of the night tonight. What a dominant performance from Ian. A whole lap ahead of second and third as the second place finisher, Mark Vickers, comes home right behind him. Hunter Hughes will come home slowly but steadily in third after making a bit of a mistake into roller coaster.
Good job, Ian.
Unfortunate for him. Fourth will be to Brian McKinney, and Eric Richardson will come home in fifth in post as the race has now officially finished. Holy smoke-a-rollies. I am mind blown by how dominant Ian Miller was that race. How about that?
That was fantastic. I mean, he was almost flawless tonight. I mean, he had a couple of close moments I saw, but I mean, he was never in any danger of losing control. I mean, you can tell he knows this track extremely well, and this is a very, very difficult track.
Yeah, he looked extremely comfortable basically from the start. Like, I didn't think he could really even make a little bit of a mistake. He had a couple moments where, around that turn 10 area, he did go a little bit wide and get up onto the grass and the dirt a little bit, but it was never too much to the point that he was in significant danger. So he ended up being just fine. But overall, a pretty intense race with Ian Miller leading the pack, coming home. Ooh, nice little voice crack. Leading the pack, coming home in first place. Mark Vickers comes home in second. Hunter Hughes comes home in third. Brian McKinney to fourth. Eric Richardson in fifth. And Tyler Vickery in sixth, with DJ Yu coming home in last tonight. Tyler Vickery, though, only completing just a few laps. He was 19 laps down, so really unfortunate with him and his McLaren crashing out early. Now we're on to some podium interviews, and I'm wondering who we've got in the booth. It looks like we've got everybody in here. Let's start with Hunter. Hunter, how you doing?
I don't know.
Doing all right?
Yeah, it's kind of
doing better than I am.
It's kind of shocking that I got P3, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I made so many mistakes today. First off, I had that lap 1 spin, and then I had it was like almost a 2-minute tow. And then my tow gets done, and I forgot that I selected tires, so then my car changed tires.
Oh, no.
And then I left the pit box and forgot to turn on my pit limiter, so then I sped through pit road. The first, 4 laps were just a train wreck, yeah.
Wow. But hey, you recovered and brought home some pretty decent points. Speaking of that lap 1 incident, it looked like it was just a moment of catching a little bit of grass on the outside of turn 10. Now, right before the broadcast or the race actually started, I was talking about on the broadcast about how I thought turn 10 was going to be the spot, and you were by far from the only person that got afflicted there. Every other driver besides Ian Miller had a turn 10 incident. So going into this race, did you prepare for that to be a potentiality, or were you kind of like, nah, I've prepped that out of my system?
Well, I knew that was going to be a problem because kind of at Lime Rock, it was kind of the same deal at Lime Rock. I knew that corner was going to be, if I'm going to spin out and wreck, it's going to be that corner. So usually the one that was actually the more difficult for me was the turn right before that slight right-hander before that left-hander.
Yeah.
Because if I took that too fast or full throttle, I just completely loop around.
Interesting.
So I was preparing for that, and I got through that corner on lap 1, and then I had a bad line entering the very next one, and I just got on the gas too early and spun.
Yep. Yeah, that track or that corner will definitely do it. It's by far the most unforgiving part of the track, and the problem is, if you go a little bit wide on the exit, the way that it spins your car around, it turns it to the left, then you catch some grip and you start going forward, which then puts you straight into the wall. It's almost better to just full send understeer way off the corner, because then you're just in this giant field of grass, and in that moment, there's obviously nothing you can do. It's really unfortunate that it happened, but great way to recover, bringing it back up into third place. It's decent championship points, but Mark Vickers finishing in front of you, and only just was not just because of that last lap thing, but it looked like it was a little bit of a mistake going over the hill into roller coaster for you last lap.
Yeah, I mean that last lap, my car was just understeering. I couldn't turn, and I was just pushing like way too hard, just trying to get anything out of it.
Well, hey, you know, I think you definitely gave it your very best effort, and it was an insane recovery run to go from such a tough start all the way back up into third. So you do still have something to pat yourself on the back for. That was pretty nuts, and so I'm excited to see you next week. You know, next week is a really fun track. I have a blast there. I think Mid-Ohio is another one of those roller coaster tracks, as I like to call them, where so much undulation and kind of blank corners, but I would argue it's a little bit more forgiving than VIR because at least some concrete on the outside of some of these corners. So when you're going in looking at Mid-Ohio, what are you going to be doing to prepare?
I mean, just practicing, but I'm really comfortable with Mid-Ohio. That's like my baby racetrack.
Oh, nice.
I've taken pretty much every single car that iRacing offers onto that track at least once. So I'm very familiar with everything, and I'm a little biased because, like I said, like it's my hometown track, but I'm super strong there in pretty much anything. And
Sweet.
I just won the BCD race at Mid-Ohio last night in the IndyCar. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it sounds like this is a track that's going to be good for you. Well, yeah. I'm excited to see you next week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and yeah, thanks for a good race tonight.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Mark Vickers, I gotta say, what's up to you? Are you here in the booth?
I am, buddy.
How's it going?
Man, what a turd show that was.
It was a nice recovery from you. Like, I knew you were holding down second place quite significantly well, and then out of nowhere, I just hear you make a comment on the radio. I'm like, what happened? And I look back and I saw you had come off around that it was also turn 10, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Just dropped a tire. I mean, could you tell that I had no idea what I was doing on this track?
Genuinely, no. You actually looked relatively comfortable. This is not a track that you've done much practice on?
No, I got maybe 2 or 3 practice sessions in.
Oh, wow.
Well, so, yeah, I mean, it's okay. It kind of reminds me of what is it, Road Atlanta?
Yes, very similar.
But yeah, I was very uncomfortable. I just couldn't get into a groove. It was yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult track, especially if you can't find that flow state. Like that turn 10 is the quickest bite, and I looked back at your replay like as it happened, and the amount of tire that touched the grass is going to irk you if you go and look back at it. It is.
Oh no, I did. Yeah.
Oh yep. It's a minuscule. You're like, oh no, I looked at it. It was such a minuscule amount, and that's how unforgiving that corner is, as I've talked about quite a bit. But for you to recover and still hold down second place was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I have no idea how I managed to do that. I was driving my butt off.
Yeah. Well, it worked out, and your championship lead still stands, but only just. Ian Miller is obviously coming for you. So, next week, Mid-Ohio, is this a track that you have some experience at, or is it going to be another one with a 2-session, send it?
No, I like, so pretty much every track up to today I've been able to skate by just because of past experience. So I got a lot of time on Mid-Ohio. So it's the next track, that German track or whatever it is
Rudskogen?
Yeah, that's going to throw me for a loop, and then Daytona. So I should at least have two decent races.
Yes,
coming up.
I really like Rudskogen. I think it's a blast. So if you do put a little bit of lap time in there, you're gonna love it. It's super, super, super fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try. Mm-hmm. We'll see though.
Well, man, I'm excited to see you next week, and until then, enjoy your week and happy practicing.
All right, you too, buddy. Thank you.
And to Mr. Ian Miller, you are our last up and our winner of the night. How are you feeling tonight?
I am really happy with how that went.
Yeah, that was the definition of flawless. Not a single big spin, not a single big moment. There were a couple that were a little close, but nothing that was to the point that I was like, yeah, I saw that one. You dipped a little bit more than a tire. Basically, you dipped the full car one time, but you brought it back on track, so no worries. You live to tell the tale. That being said, were you ever in a moment where you saw those big offs happen in front of you and say, "Oh my gosh, I've got a shot"?
I saw Hughes, go off in front of me, lap 1, and from there, I was just asking, crew chief, what's the gap behind, and it's 2 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, 20 seconds. I'm like, oh, okay, just bring it home, I guess. And what I think I lapped the entire field by the end there. Yeah,
you did. Yep. And it was only just you got them literally on that last, like the last 2 laps. I want to say is when you got them. And so yeah, had you not gotten them, then they would have had a chance to go and do one more lap and fight it out one more lap. But you know what? You ended the race when it deserved to be ended because you absolutely dominated tonight. That's going to put you in some pretty decent, striking distance of Mark Vickers. You've officially passed up Hunter Hughes of the night. And you're not too far off Mark anymore. So there's definitely a reasonable chance for you. So going into Mid-Ohio, how confident are you at that track? Is it a place you've been to a lot? Or is this one a bit of a fresh one?
No, I bought it for this league, so we'll see how that goes. Well,
cool.
I got to put some time in this week, and
we shall see.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll be just fine. Yeah, it's not like it's a track that you need to see very well, so the Mercedes should be just fine there as well.
Oh yeah,
that's very blind. So good luck.
and what hearing you talk about turn 10, running that is my favorite part of the track because
it's so cool, isn't it?
Flat out through both of the S's, just brake. I can go through turn 9. I take that flat out.
Yeah, as
and
you should.
Brake a little bit, drop into 4th, and get the car rotated, and off I go. I just love that section of track.
It feels so good when you nail it right, but it feels so heartbreaking when you nail it wrong and you go into the wall. There's no in between. It's either brutally terrifying and it all went wrong, or you feel like you're on top of the world and you can go, become president tomorrow. So yeah, it's definitely one of those parts of the track. Well, I'm excited to see you next week. Enjoy your week. Happy practicing on a brand new track. And best of luck to you in the championship run.
Yeah, well, thank you kindly. Have a good one.
Of course, you too.
Bye.
Well, that is going to be it for the night, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. This was a blast at VIR. I had a ton of fun. Remember, next week, as you saw on our standings, on our calendar, we will be at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, an amazingly fun racetrack. So many different racing series go through there for a reason. It's undulating, it's crazy, it's scrappy, and it's gonna be scenes of some great racing. So make sure you tune in there. And thank you again so much to all of y'all for tuning in tonight. I cannot wait to see you guys again next week. Remember, my name is Eli Singh. Y'all have a beautiful rest of your night. Bye-bye.